So I'm a St. Thomas More grad from '79, and I've been a teacher ever since I left. I went to university, taught in the Catholic schools. I've been a university president for 24 years. That's a tough question. It was all in. St. Thomas More was all about being all in. Wandering the halls, it's kind of spooky right now because there's the older parts of the buildings with all the new ones, but there's a lot of memories here. And I think probably the biggest thing that I remember is how much of a community it was. The parents were involved in everything we did. The brothers were here, of course. Other teachers. I just saw Daryl in the hallway. He was here when I was a student here. So it was something special. I've worked in a lot of schools, and you could tell when you walked in that the place was alive. Sure, I remember going to the provincial basketball championships in '78 and playing first in the Agrodome, and then they moved us over to the Pacific Coliseum. And we were playing schools that were much bigger. STM shouldn't have been playing. At the time it was AA, which would be, I know in Ontario, Quad A, it was the top, that's all we had was AA. And we made it to the Final Four of the provincials. And the best part was all our buddies, because it was an all-boys school at the time, and teachers and their families showing up. There was a parade. People walked from here to the Pacific Coliseum, and the other teams didn't know what hit them because they'd have, maybe 500 fans out, and we would have thousands. It was something special. So I remember the '78 basketball run, and I remember playing on that team, running into Kevin McDonald later today, and Kevin was kind of the star of that team. I set really good picks and took rebounds, but I wasn't. It was a very good team. So it was a special time because the whole community came together for literally 2 weeks. And there are other events here too. The first bus we bought, I remember we bought a bus and Brother Slattery set it up that it arrived out east. I think it arrived in Montreal, and we tracked the bus. This is the first bus the school ever had. We hadn't raised all the money yet, so it was a fundraiser as we went across, and we get reports in every day where the bus was, that it was making its journey across Canada, and we'd go out and raise more money. And the parents, we had this huge party when it arrived. It was just something so simple, but the spirit of this place is something else. Yeah, I think probably everything I learned here on that journey, and I had some great teachers. John Favreau was easily the best teacher I ever had. I went on to study French and history. I'm a professor of history now at the University of Toronto, and John was a French, and he did drama as well, but he did history, and he left a really deep impact. I remember actually when I was out at St. FX, I went to St. FX after I graduated to play football, and Time magazine, or maybe it was Maclean's at the time, did an article, big long section on teacher can't teach. And I remember taking the time, so think of this, I'm 19 years old, I'm a first-year student, and I wrote a letter to John Favreau, Mr. Favreau, saying, I beg to differ because I had great teachers. Others, Brother Slattery, Brother Bassett, I hear he's still maybe around. He taught me to love science, and I'm not a science person, but I love science, except physics. Everything else was great. But Brother Bassett was always present, always helpful and supportive. And Brother Carruthers came in as our principal in our senior year, and it was the worst possible situation for him. He came from Vancouver College, and over the summer they painted the washroom purple. So imagine that. And Brother Carruthers taught me and the other student council leaders at the time that you want to change things, change it. So he provided the paint. We all showed up. And I still see him in Ontario. He runs a retreat center there. He taught me something that I use with where I work now, is that the decisions you make are better if students are at the table. I believe that to this day, and he let us do that. He helped us, let us make decisions. He's a great principal in his short time that I had him. So he showed up at my installation. I'd lost touch with him when I was installed as president. When I first moved out to Ontario in 2009, he showed up, came to the event, and that was really nice to see him. So there are a lot of people, and teachers, coaches, a lot of basketball and football coaches, track coaches. Mr. Barr took the teams we had here and made them provincial contenders. It was amazing to have these dedicated professors. But as I said before, one of the things that made this place different, and I've seen it elsewhere, is that parents were involved in everything. And they felt like they were part of the St. Thomas More team. That's hard because I remember talking to Doc Smith in grade 12, and I knew I was going to university. I wanted him to teach us how to write better essays. He says, "You know what you're doing." His comments to me captured a kind of confidence that I didn't know whether STM had prepared me, and I wasn't an academic geek by any means. I've spent more time playing football and track and basketball. And his comments made it clear to me that you can really do anything you want. And it's a journey. It's not like you're frozen in time in grade 11 or grade 12, and that sets you for your performance. Just lean into things and follow what you're passionate about, and things will come to fruition. So Thomas More showed me that you really can go anywhere from here. And I've been able to teach and study in Europe and in Africa, and I went to grad school in New York. I worked in Toronto. I'm the only president of St. Mike's that flies the Canucks flag when they're in town. Someone suggested it should be in my contract that the president of St. Mike's should be a Leafs fan. It's not happening. I don't know if you know much about St. Mike's, the history. We were the farm team for the Maple Leafs for years and years and years. Tim Horton went to school there, Keon, not just the high school, this is a university, had a very strong presence in athletics. And Father Dave Bauer is a St. Mike's priest, a Brazilian priest who came out and started the Olympic hockey program here in Vancouver. So for the president of St. Mike's to be a Canucks fan is pretty tough for some people to take, but it is what it is. It's pretty straightforward. I have the best job in Canada, and I get to lead an institution that is a lot like More in ways that it's about the academics. Students have to be top of the game. U of T is one of the top universities in the world, top 21 I think it got ranked. Among all universities, it's top second public university in North America. And so those are the students that are coming there. But St. Mike's brings to the table the idea of educational whole person. We have the inside track when it comes to education. I honestly believe that. I've spent my career in Catholic education out of choice, because you have an opportunity to really invest in people, not just professors and programs. We do that, but I often say we teach math, we teach history, we teach social sciences, but we teach people. And when you put the focus on students and developing the community in which people are there to grow and achieve, that's the secret. And that's basically Catholic philosophy of Catholic education. And there's not a student that comes there that can't succeed. It's the other things that can often get in the way: homesickness, falling through the cracks, anxiety, self-doubt. And you remove those, build a community that supports people. It's not just about having clinical counselors and that, but hiring professors that are mentors, building opportunities for students to support each other and themselves. They flourish. So, and I learned that at More. I said that a bit earlier, that it really is about finding who you are and what you need to do. And St. Mike's is that place at U of T. And I get to be part of that. As president, all you do is hire good people, send them on a course and get out of their way. So I work with really smart people, but I get to lead. St. Mike's is 174 years old this year, and there's a deep, deep tradition. We have the oldest buildings at U of T. I'm a medieval historian, so I kind of like a history piece of it, but it's a community like no other in Canada and no other at U of T, and I get to be part of that, so I have the best job in Canada. Yeah, it's central to everything I do. It's not easy being a Catholic in Canada for all kinds of reasons, historically and politically and socially. But it's my center. I come from a family that we talked about this around the dinner table. My parents are both practicing Catholics. Our family, like I said, there are challenges of being a Catholic in Canada today and in the world. But my parents taught me, and Thomas More supported this, that you're given certain gifts, and those gifts, it's your responsibility to figure out what those are, to develop them the best way you can, and then put them in service of your family, your community, and the world. And that's the key message that drives me in my work, in my my family life. We have 4 kids. My wife and I have 4 kids. We met at Fordham in graduate school in New York City, and our whole careers have been dedicated to fostering that kind of environment where people can find out who they are and find out what their gifts are, and develop them and put them in the service of humanity, because we need that, right? So that's core to who I am. You know, I'm involved in education, and education's about providing young people the opportunity to learn, provide who they are, find out who they are in a community, in support of teachers who care, of families that care, in a community that cares. So we really need to focus on what our skills are, what our gifts are, what our blessings are, and learn, identify what the needs are in our community and our family, and get out there and make a difference. So finding out what your particular gifts are, developing them, learning everything you can about yourself and about the needs of the world, and serving. I'm very grateful for my opportunities here at STM. I learned a lot about who I was, what I could be, and 79, it's almost 45 years ago since I graduated. I've been involved. I came back and taught here for a while I was a graduate student, and it's wonderful to be back on campus and see how community is growing, and the place looks great, and that it's still providing the opportunities for young men and women that it provided to me and my brothers.